indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to everybody who showed up to this meeting. I know it is Veterans Day, and it's not the most appropriate day to do this. However, to accommodate all the board members and make sure that they were here and able to contribute to conversation regarding the 2022 preliminary budget, I felt it was essential we could all be here. So I think, thanks for your patience, and most of all, thank you to our veterans. So if anybody has a chance, thank Veterans Day, especially our local ones. That being said, I would like to open the public hearing on the 2022 preliminary budget at 6:30. Are there any comments from the public? Okay. I'm going to keep it open until the very end of the meeting. So at any time if somebody wants to discuss something, I just ask respectfully that they just walk up to the lectern, and we'll pause the meeting and allow them to speak. And then towards the end of the meeting, under new business, we'll close it to adopt the resolution. As for correspondence, I only have one item. The Fulton County Office of Aging sent a letter asking for our help, that they are in need of recommendations to fill volunteer positions for the Office of the Aging Advisory Council and the Youth Bureau Advisory Board. Just for the public's benefit, the Fulton County Office for the Aging Advisory Council is a key link between the community and the area agency on aging in communicating the needs and concerns of older New Yorkers. The representation of the interests of older adults is enhanced by the advisory council members' direct participation in programs and communication with service recipients. The Fulton County Youth Bureau is created for the purposes of planning, coordinating, and supplementing the activities of public, private, or religious agencies denoted in whole or in part to the welfare and protection of the youth. Anybody's interested in these particular positions, if they'd like to get in touch with me, I will send them on their way to Andrea Heminger, she's the director of the Fulton County Office of the Aging. Spread the word. On to reports, our highway superintendent.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Well, we're getting ready for winter, getting our trucks all fitted for plowing. Truck number 8 right now is at around that towing issue with engine brake, and I believe they have it fixed. So we should be getting back on Monday. Truck 9 is the one we're using for driver training. It does have an engine on it. We just need to put a long wing around it. But other than that, it's ready to go. Truck 10 is all ready to go. One thing with the trucks, I've been looking into different scan tools, computers to diagnose some of the problems with our trucks, because everything now is that onboard diagnostics is called. Without tools such as that, we have no way of diagnosing some of the problems with our trucks. And I'm looking at the different ones. We should be in the neighborhood of $3,000 that we need to spend, and that will allow us to diagnose problems in-house that now we have to send the vehicles out in order to have it done. It would cover the 3 large trucks we have. It would also take care of the small F-550 which currently we can't do any of that stuff. We did have another employee quit us, and I still have one that's on medical leave. Hopefully by the end of the month, he's coming back to work. I do not know that for sure, but I believe that's what's going to happen. And we do have a CDL test next week. Actually, it's on Wednesday, and I believe we're in good shape for that. And
Does he have an ETA? Yeah, the mayor have an ETA and the board's report, because we've been waiting a while.
The last time I talked to him, he had sent the, whatever information to somebody else that has this honor or whatever they call it, that can do, sections and stuff on that area. And he says, when he got that back, he would finish it. So that's where he's at.
We're looking to start work on that next spring.
Yes.
We have the extensions needed for that?
We have to,
Extensions needed?
yes.
Are there any other questions for Larry? Thank you very much. Norm? Go ahead.
No, I issued 2 permits, 1 septic and 1 road. I had a couple days of school on the web, and, did 7 inspections.
Mr. Board members, my apologies that you had to handwrite this report. He did hand your computer to me about 2 weeks ago, stating that it was having issues, which it is. And I have been working on it, but I haven't spent enough time to fix it. So, this should be all typewritten by next month. So, any questions for Norm? Okay, thank you, Norm. The assessor's report, we did not receive a report for last month. So we submitted for both September and October. It'll be printed on both sides of your sheet. The September report on the 3rd was the public meeting. Approximately 25 residents attended. Almost all of the handouts were taken. This was a good first meeting. As I said during the meeting, another one will be held in the spring of 2022. Additional ones will likely be held each month from August 2022 through December 2022. On the 17th of September, we scheduled a field visit with Pleasant Lake Association for October 29th. Added a few address change requests and met with taxpayer about various assessment-related data. Began to build all new land tables. Land breakdowns, especially waterfront, will be reviewed in the field, updated and changed to fit the way waterfront land should be valued. Waterfront land will be valued on a front foot basis, taking into consideration the differences each parcel may have. For October. From the 1st, he was recovering from eye surgery and did not work. On the 15th, field work updating information on Stuart Landing. Met with Roger Ackerman, who showed me around a little bit. We'll be getting more information regarding the waterfront. Began changing land breakdowns for waterfront for the land value to be estimated on a front foot basis. We'll be analyzing waterfront land values over the winter months. And on the 29th, picked up tax maps and property transfers from the Fulton County Real Property Office, met with Ann Pierce from the Pleasant Lake Association, spent a considerable amount of time walking waterfront property to get a feel of various parts of the lake and learning the issues property owners face as waterfront property owners. Began to develop land influence factors for Pleasant. Dog control, Karen, you're up.
Contacted by the county public health, rabies protocol, which was sort of difficult because I was never catching the person at home. And every time I went to her house, I guess she was on the road going to my house, but it wasn't my house she was going to. Because she asked me, when did you decide to sell your house? I said, I haven't, and she was, there was a sign right in front of it. So obviously she wasn't finding my house. But eventually I was able to catch up with her and, you know, the case is going there. I also was contacted about a resident's 2 dogs that had gotten loose. They were loose for 3 days. I never saw them. But eventually one came home and the other one was found. It was in the woods and eventually they were able to catch it. And then that was it for the rest of the month.
And you just found out today that both dogs were found?
Yes.
Well, wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. The board has received a copy of the justice report for the month of October. Judge Maria $50 for each time. Historian.
November sixth, we have our successful historical society event. We discussed a firefight in Edinburgh, or Fortune Tower, as it's called, and had fun discussing that, and we also discussed, on the history of the stone house in Stratford, which was, brought a lot of people, actually brought some people in because they were curious. So we had a great conversation again, a lot of people giving us great information on the history of Stratford, and it was just a lot of fun. So, hoping that people will come out, we have another one coming up this month, or sorry, not this month, but December 11th, and, we can find out, and let us know what they discuss. I digitized the slide presentation, so that it, we've got it, rather just on slides, that we've got it in this type of format, and I set it up in presentation, and, you know, if I get enough interest, then we'll show it again. And, I'm starting to review the documents that are being retired that Larry gave me, I've got 6 boxes to go through, thank you, Larry. So, I'm starting the process with 2 boxes, so.
Very good. Okay, to the supervisor. The board of Supervisors. Oh, I'm sorry. Larry, do you have anything to report?
No.
Okay. Don't go on her.
Yeah.
I apologize for that. Guys are, I've been on the board for too long, I just don't think. The board received a copy of the third quarter sales tax report. We received $93,341.86. That puts our year-to-date total $356,219.22, which is $136,000 more than we had budgeted this year. So we are quite in the positive for revenue. Also, I received a notification from the New York State Local Retirement System that the resolution that we passed for Dave Valerno, our sole assessor, was missing the first term begins and end date. So, they asked us if we could pass the new resolution and post it again for another 30 days, and so I'm just asking the board if somebody would like to endorse this corrected resolution, so we can get that taken care of. So I'd like to make a motion to pass this corrected resolution for state retirement for the purpose of reporting to the New York State Local Retirement System. Whereas the RS 2417 standard workday reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials regarding Dave Valerno from the assessors submitted to the New York State Local Retirement System after August 14th omitted his begin and end date. And whereas to correct this omission, the NYSLRS has requested that the Stratford Town Board pass another resolution correcting this deficit. Therefore, be it resolved, and I just want to say the numbers have not changed to the board, that the town board of the town of Stratford determined for assessor David Valerno, 1, that the hours for the assessor are 16 hours per month, or 2.7 days per 6-hour standard workday. 2, that the term for the appointed assessor of the town of Stratford began on August 1st, 2019, and expires September 30th, 2025. And 3, that a 3-month calendar of hours and activities has been received and maintained by the town clerk. Further resolved that a copy of this resolution will be available for public review at the town clerk's office during normal business hours between November 13th, 2021, which is a Saturday, Larry, through December 11th, 2021.
I'll second that.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. As for the financial report, the board received the monthly QuickBooks budget update report alongside the statements for all of the bank accounts. Are there any questions on these? I've also done a boo-boo to the board, so this is, hopefully I can explain this correctly. I received approximately 8 checks in the span of maybe a 6-week period pertaining to FEMA, between July and August. And during that time, I was going back and forth with the ARPA funding and saying, we haven't received our electronic payment, what's going on? And When I received those checks, they were put into the highway fund, because they were FEMA. And if you've ever looked at these checks, it's just a list of numbers. It doesn't tell you what it's for. And obviously, what else are we getting checks for? So I put them in the highway department, and we passed a resolution stating that those checks were, for FEMA. Those were actually our hardware checks, our American Recovery Plan. So I want to do this resolution to correct this issue that I have not seen. So this resolution, titled Revenue Code Corrections to the Resolutions 2521 and 2721. Whereas resolutions 2521 and 2721 pertaining to the acceptance of federal emergency management aid were incorrectly deposited to the highway checking account and credited to revenue code DA 4960, which is the federal FEMA code for revenue. These are the checks for $19,425.44 that we accepted July 7th, and $29,418.27 we accepted July 20th. Whereas the above listed checks and amounts were meant to be appropriated to the town of Stratford general fund pertaining to the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. And whereas the correct revenue code for the ARPA revenue is A4089 federal aid, which I conferred with the bookkeeper on this. Therefore resolved, the Stratford Town Board agrees to the following amendments to the budget. A decrease to DA 4960 federal emergency disaster assistance line of $48,843.71, and an increase to A 4089 federal aid $48,843.71. And further resolved, the Stratford Town Board understands that these checks were incorrectly deposited into the wrong account, and they can be transferred back to the general fund because they were meant to be deposited there originally. So this isn't an incorrect transfer of moving highway to general. We are allowed to do this, and it's just a mistake that I made. So I would like to put forth this motion to pass this resolution. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Are we sure that's the legal way to do it? Once you got it, I just don't want to get audited later on and then have to go through that.
Mike, you're being second.
I'm not an auditor, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah,
Okay.
are you
Well,
positive this is the way that we do it?
Well, because it was just simply an error in which account it was being deposited to, it's not really because you're transferring funds from one to another. So by this resolution, you're just correcting the error of the misdeposit.
So I'm just thinking because it already went in, shouldn't it play out to the end of the year and then go into like a fund balance situation, or?
No, because it's just a matter of the fact that, like Heather was saying, I mean, when those checks come in, they really are just a bunch of like random numbers, and it doesn't specify what the funds are that come in, especially if you're getting them direct deposited. So, I mean, I don't see that there would be an issue, especially if you're rectifying it by resolution, stating that there was just an error in terms of, not understanding which check it was supposed to be for when it came in. I don't see that, and especially if you have the documentation and the following resolution, that an auditor would be able to follow a paper trail. It's not just that you're trying to move funds from the highway to the general for another purpose. It was just simply deposited in the wrong account.
Well, that's just my question, are we doing it the right way? Just.
I don't see any other way, because we have to have this money in the right account, so we have to do it. Regardless, it can't stay in highway because it's not just meant for highway. The ARPA can be, there's very specific, things you can use the ARPA funding on, and it can be a mixture of general and highway. So once it's in the correct account, general, we can say we can take 10,000 of this and put it back in the highway for a specific purpose. But once we keep it in there, now we have to keep it for just general highway. And it's not even under the right appropriation code, even if we keep it in.
If it was wrong, we deposit.
That's it.
The auditors will want a paper trail.
And that's what I'm trying to provide.
Yeah.
Because we have to formally accept this money. So we have to also state, I have to correct that as well. Because I put it under FEMA, and it obviously wasn't FEMA. So I went back and forth with New York State going, where is this money? And they finally sent me the payment references and the amount, and I said, what? So I'm just trying to correct that, and and I thought that's just, you know, like Joanne said, the paper trail should cover us for anything like that. You can move money back and forth if mistakes are made, but you can't take highway money and put it towards the general fund for, that's just, we can't do it that way. But because they know it's just a mistake, we put it on paper, I explained it to the board, this should be more than sufficient. Do we have a second on that?
Lorraine,
Okay, okay. Are there any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And simply for the fact that I just wanna make sure it's done the right way before we go.
I'm just saying,
No, you're at that.
can I have a motion to pay the November general highway increase? I'll make a motion. I will second that. Are there any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Any old business? Any new business? Before we, I'm gonna put the call out one more time. Is there anybody that would like to come up to the lectern and comment on the 2022 preliminary budget? Okay. That being said, can I have a motion to close the, public hearing on the 2022? At 6:52, Larry. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. That being said, I'd like to open the discussion on the resolution to adopt the 2022 contract budget. Are there any comments from the board members?
I just want to bring up, and when he's here, I just was just wondering why we didn't take our allowable growth this year.
That's just up to the board. That's just the decision the board and everyone makes.
So we didn't take our allowable growth, correct, or am I wrong?
It was not the full amount, but what will happen is that when you have the calculation for next year, it'll have a rollover. So even though you didn't meet the full threshold of your tax cap, you'll have the ability to still raise that revenue next year. It'll be added into whatever your percentage happens to be for next year's, tax cap kind of thing, so.
And just as a reminder to the public, it's a 0% increase over last year, so the implied tax rate for 2000 is 4.01, and two other numbers we don't need to be concerned with. We will be taking $17,937 out of fund balance to accommodate the overage that we did have in the highway department. That being said, I want to point out again that we also collected $136,000 in extra revenue for the general fund, and we are $40,000 under the budget for general fund next year. So I think that's easily accommodated, and I think that between COVID, people losing their jobs, and other increases that we've had to our lifestyles, that every now and again, when the town can afford it, we should do 0%. You know, it looks to be from the forecast from the county that the sales tax revenue is not going to go down anytime soon. So I think that we were able to swing it this year. I can't say what the climate is going to be next year. However, if we were to cut from this budget, where we were over was $61,000, it was, highway. So we would have to cut out of Larry's budget, and I think Larry's done a phenomenal job, and there's certain things in there that he added that I think are appropriate. For instance, I believe we added 10,000 to the bridge fund.
Yes.
And we might not use it. We might fall under again, but we consistently need to do work to the bridges, and we never have money appropriated for the bridge fund. So this one fills out the budget, I believe, and we could have done an allowable tax increase up to the tax cap, but that would have only brought us to, I think we still had to take $6,000 or $7,000 out of general fund, unless we wanted to go with the tax cap. So we were already going to be using fund balance in the public knowledge, level up the budget, so. I think,
To that conclusion, though, you should be taking your growth. That's just a rule of thumb, we should be taking the growth each year. Because otherwise, 10 years down the road, it puts you in that position. But that's just, it's done, there's nothing to do about it, I'm just questioning why we didn't take the growth, that's why. I just wanted to verify that with you and how that works out. So. There's your question. No?
all right. I'd like to support the resolution to adopt the general highway and fire 2022 town budget. Whereas the preliminary budget for the year 2022 has been duly prepared by the supervisor and the town board and is duly publicized public hearing is held on the 11th day of November 2021 at 6:30. And whereas at which time all persons desiring to be heard were heard, now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to section, I think that's supposed to be in, 109 of the town law of the state of New York, the town board and the town of Stratford hereby adopts the preliminary budget as amended, altered, and revised as the budget for the town of Stratford for the year 2022. I look like this resolution, Madam President.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And then oppose it, also matching the growth.
Motion carried. Is there any further comments from the board before I adjourn this meeting? Perfect. I make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:58. All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. I can make a motion. I should click on it.